I'm going to hide. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to 50 Shades of Life, where today we are talking about the topic of burnout to balance. Yep, we're going to reclaim rest in our midlife. So, this podcast is where we two Generation X women get real about burnout, boundaries, and building a life that feels like it's ours again.
We're your hosts. I'm Liz, and that's Penny.
Mm-hmm.
Two women deep in our 50s. Well, wait a minute. I'm deep in the, well, I guess I'm knee deep in the middle. Okay, in our 50s. And we're done with the hustle and we're now leaning hard into rest, restoration, and radical self-care. Because let's be honest, after decades of doing all the things for everyone else, it's our turn.
Yes, it is. So today's episode is all about pampering, okay? Not as a luxury, but more as a non-negotiable part of midlife well-being. We're not talking about just bubble baths or pedicures. Well, those are all nice and lovely, and who doesn't want one of those? We're talking about creating rituals and rest that refill and help you be more like you, and you're worthy of self-care. So we're going to talk about it.
Us Gen Xers were raised to just push through, be productive, and to do it all without complaints or compliments. But now we're rewriting that script and how it can actually help us reconnect with our bodies, our joy, and our power.
Yes, ma'am. So you guys grab your tea, your blanket. I don't know, wherever you are in the world, maybe your wine. I don't know. Book that massage while you're listening to us and join us for an honest, cozy conversation about reclaiming the art of pampering guilt-free.
Is there such a thing?
I hope so. I'm trying to get there.
We're going to say there is. We're going to say there is. All right. So where are we going to start here? I think we should start maybe with hormonal care, because who hasn't gone through hormonal shifts, I should say. Who hasn't gone through that? And when the hormones are like going crazy, you need some little bit of gentle self-care.
Mm-hmm. You do.
So menopause and perimenopause, as some of you know, can cause hormonal changes that affect your mood, affect your sleep, your skin, your metabolism, and your energy.
Metabolism is huge, and we all feel that and know that. And I know for me, energy is, I have to really, stupid plug, but I really do have to take my electrolyte drink every day just to stay level and keep going through the day and all of that.
Yep.
All because of age.
Yeah, and I can sure tell a difference if I like miss a day of my electrolytes and I've only had my collagen drink that day. I sure can tell the difference without those electrolytes. So hydration is key, and it helps your metabolism also. So
absolutely.
So drink your water is the moral of that story.
And I'm telling you, hormonal changes are no joke. Well, even though I had a hysterectomy in my late 20s, I really haven't gone through a whole lot of menopause, but my hormones are definitely changing as I get older. And I'm more sensitive. I can be more moody. I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird thing. I feel like I don't always have control.
And I don't think as we get into our 50s, I think as we get into our 50s, we actually don't have control over that stuff. like just like Penny, she had a hysterectomy in her late 20s. I had a partial hysterectomy in my late 20s. So I took out my oven, but I kept the knobs. Okay. So I still was ovulating the whole time. and I could always tell when I was ovulating.
Uh-huh.
But hot flashes started. It was like as soon as I turned 50, someone turned the switch on and said, okay, menopause. And so, yeah. And I could definitely tell. Like I had all the hot flashes, I had all the mood swings, I had them all. And yeah, I could certainly tell that menopause was causing a huge shift, not only in my emotional state, but in my physical state.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't burn freaking fat anymore. Like, it was impossible.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it all just sits in your midsection. And no matter how many power walks you do or how many greens you eat, the scale freaking stays the same.
Yeah.
It's quite frustrating sometimes.
Yep. I hear you. And it's one of those things, I guess. Should we let's ask the audience a question, shall we?
I think we should.
Okay.
So we want your participation in this. If you're listening and watching, even if you're watching the replay, we want your participation. We want to hear your answers to these questions. So this is question number 1. What's one pamper? Yeah, we have to go like this. What's one pampering ritual that helps you feel grounded when your hormones feel like a freaking roller coaster? So I'm going to leave this up for just a second. So we're going to talk on side.
Okay.
So what about you, Penny? What's one pampering ritual that really helps you feel grounded?
I will tell you, the one thing that I find that is so helpful for me, particularly because it is hard to lose weight and everything, once you start getting into this age. But I do infrared hot saunas, and I can sit in them.
Body or face?
Whole body. And I can sit in it. You usually get about 40 minutes, and I try to get it up as high as like between 155 and 165, and you just sweat, right? You just sweat. And it is so satisfying. I feel like after I've done it, my body feels cleansed, my mind feels clear. It helps me with my anxiety, it helps me with my insomnia, it helps me with all kinds of things. I've had a harder time finding it out here since we moved from Seattle to Montana. It's not as easy to find.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about getting one installed in my home.
Ooh.
I know.
That's where we'll find Penny.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I have to sell a lot of product and do a lot of Amazon reviews before I can afford it, but it's going to happen. That's my dream.
There you go. Yeah, one way or another, she's going to do it.
That's right. What about for you?
This time of year, I love to just soak in the vitamin D outside.
Oh God, yes.
Like if I had my garden up and running, that's what I would be doing, is gardening. But right now I will literally sit out in the sun in the backyard half naked and either work a crossword puzzle till I pass out, or I will just lay there.
Yeah.
And listen to the quiet.
I love it.
Yeah.
There's something very therapeutic about being in the sun. And not only that, but this whole thing of grounding. Have you heard of grounding?
Go ahead, explain.
Yeah, it's okay. So where you take your socks and shoes off or whatever, and you literally put your feet on the ground. It's called grounding. And a lot of people will lay in the grass and that kind of thing and just physically touch the earth. And there's some sort of energy transference. And I know this sounds cuckoo. I really did see a documentary on this. Fascinating. And so I try to make sure that I go outside. What you're talking about is exactly that, right? You just get out in the sun, you put your feet in the grass, and you just touch the earth. And it's supposed to be really re-energizing for your body.
Yeah, I'll 9 times out of 10, I will pass out, fall asleep in the sun. And I don't sleep long. It's like a 10-minute power nap, maybe.
I love it. That's
And
perfect.
I got my sunscreen. Don't y'all worry. But
We have a friend that would absolutely kill us if we didn't wear our sunscreen.
right? Yes, Laura, we
Yep.
know. We
Yeah.
know. And I wear my Bellamy sunscreen. So yeah, and I find that when I wake up from that power nap, yes, I'm a little groggy coming out of it, but because the sun just like bakes your body, right? And you just feel like you're melting, which
Yeah.
to me is my body just letting go and releasing all the toxicity, whether it's mental toxicity or physical toxicity. I'm sweating like a pig. And and I just feel like when I get up from that, I really do feel more energized. And
Mhm.
could just be the 10-minute power nap, could be the sun, could be a
both.
combination. Yeah,
Yeah.
it could be a combination. So that's what I do. It doesn't cost anything.
Yeah. And here's the thing too. I think because of where you live and where I used to live, we don't get a lot of sun throughout the winter months, right? And so when you do get sun, it's like your body's like, go outside,
Yeah.
go get it. It's out.
Yeah. Yeah. And where I live, it's high desert in Boise.
Oh,
So in the summertime, it's sunny. It's
yeah.
like Arizona weather in the summertime here.
Love it.
But in the winter, it's like Montana.
Yeah.
So we do get 4 seasons, which I love. But anyways, I digress.
I know. I hear you. Well, let's move on. Let's talk about emotional labor and invisible responsibilities. So I know many Gen X women are going to relate with this because they often find themselves in that sandwich generation where either they're taking care of kids or maybe even still taking care of even adult kids, because let's be honest, even adult kids in our generation aren't really fully on their own until close to 30.
And then some.
And then some. And then some. And then we're either helping take care of grandchildren or we're also helping taking care of, maybe some aging parents or what have you. And so it's a pretty big emotional load that can go unrecognized, unacknowledged, and it can lead to burnout and some resentment, So I think that pampering comes into a place for us as Gen Xers where we have to sit back and say, I'm not doing this because I'm being vain. I'm not doing this because putting myself first. I'm doing this because it's literally good for my physical, mental, and emotional health so that I can then be there for them as well. So
Right.
it's just restorative time. It's not necessarily an indulgence. It really is restorative. And so I know you have adult kids. You're also still raising a child. So how do you find that balance for you?
I have learned over the years, in some respect, the hard way. I gave up so much of myself for either my business, my family, my friends, you name it. I was always that go-to person, right? That everybody could rely on. And I was a yes person, a completely yes person. And 2 years of therapy later, I'm finally learning boundaries. And so I think the biggest thing for me, the aha moment came for me even this year, 2 years of therapy later for Mother's Day. Okay.
Yeah.
And my therapist said to me, it's your Mother's Day. What do you want to do? And so my goal for Mother's Day was I wanted to be with my 3 kids. I didn't care where, I didn't care what, I didn't care how.
Yeah.
And my honey made it happen. And to me, it was so restorative. But I had to learn those boundaries first. And so, boundary to me is pampering myself because it's allowing me time to step back and say, okay, I don't want to work today. And in Penny, in my industry, we can work anywhere, anytime. We set our own schedule. So there are days where I will just take like a little diamond art thing, the thing with all the little.
Yes.
Yeah. And I've got a big one that I'm working on now for Ashlyn for her room. And I'll just take that and go outside and sit in the sun and indulge.
Yeah.
And I'll set a timer for like an hour, and I'll give myself that hour because I'm no good to anybody else if I can't function.
Yeah.
And like this morning, I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off all morning trying to figure shit out.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get it handled. So I just had to walk away from it. And thank goodness it was podcast time.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, just stepping back and taking a minute for myself.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I threw my knee out just getting out of bed because I'm 55. And Jeff got home from work later in the day. And of course, he knew about it because I told him about it. And he said, well, what can I do? And I said, take me for ice cream. That's all I wanted.
You're my kind of gal. Well, no wonder we're friends. I want ice cream.
All I wanted was a Sonic Blast from Snickers or from Sonic. I wanted a Snickers Sonic Blast. I was disappointed to find out they don't have Snickers anymore.
Oh, that's not okay.
I had a Reese's Pieces one, and let me tell you, that was enough indulgence for the day. I
love it.
So yeah, little things like that.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let's ask the audience a question, shall we?
Okay.
You want to put it up?
Yep.
So the question is, when was the last time you did something just for yourself, but with zero guilt? Last time you did something for yourself with zero guilt.
So be sure, we want to know your answer in the comments. Zero guilt. Indulgence was ... Fill in the blank there.
That's right.
Okay, Penny, when was the last time you did something for yourself with no guilt?
Oh my goodness. I was going to say yesterday, but that's not true. Yesterday I went to Hobby Lobby. I got a couple of things for my greenhouse and I took myself to dinner, and I came home and I felt guilty. Felt guilty for spending the money. I felt guilty for buying things that, I don't probably really need. I did. I felt guilty, but I actually had a really good time walking through Hobby Lobby. Oh, I like this. I like that. I like this.
Hobby Lobby's dangerous.
Oh my gosh, it totally is. And took myself to dinner, got some great pad thai. It was lovely. So I'd love to say that it was yesterday, but it wasn't, because I can't remember the last time I did something for myself where I had zero guilt. I was raised Catholic. Guilt is like there's breathing and there's guilt, and they're like interconnected. That's how I get through life. So I'm going to have to really work on that. I can't remember a time I did something and had no guilt.
That's interesting.
What about you?
Yesterday, I had ice cream for dinner, and I didn't feel guilty about it for just not even a second. Not even a hot second.
You're going to have to teach me, girl, because I think that's fantastic. Now I want ice cream.
Well, there you go. There's a reason to go out and do something for yourself and have no guilt about it.
Oh, gosh, that is just so funny.
Even if you have to dig through the car for change, so that you can just pay for it with money that is just sitting there that nobody knows about.
Oh, that's true. I have a whole coin collection, so I should
See?
just
There you go. Go raid the coin collection.
yeah.
Gather up like $4 and go get yourself an ice cream. You have my permission.
Well, thanks. But see, now I'm like, well, Dave's going to be home today with my grandkids. So should I really spend the time? This is how my brain works. This is why I'm tired all the time. There's always that noise going on in my head. Like, well, you could, but you got X, Y, and Z to do. And you could, but there's always a but. I have to get past the but.
Is there ice cream in your freezer?
No.
Damn.
I know. But that is a really good idea. But see, I also have no self-control. If it wasn't in my freezer, it would have been eaten anyway. So,
How about DoorDash?
Yeah, we live too far away.
Oh, dang it. I'm trying, girl. I'm trying.
I really appreciate you. I appreciate you. I'm going to have to work on the guilt. I'm going to have to dig into that a little deeper. Maybe we'll have to do a whole session on just guilt.
Trust me, I got a ton of it sitting around. Okay, let's go on to what I call cultural conditioning.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cultural conditioning, to air quotes here, push through. So Gen Xers, a lot of women like us were raised to be like hyper productive, self-sacrificing. And how easily did we get burned out from that, right? So pampering, which is so important, it reclaims time and attention that was often denied or delayed.
Yeah.
And like, I don't really remember doing anything to pamper myself until I hit my 50s, really. Well, maybe when I was in my 20s, I went and got a massage. And I got a few of them in a couple of years. But that's about it. I really don't recall any of that pampering. It was just be productive.
Yep.
Everything else waits. This is just how it works.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like you have to rebel against the idea that aging women should just fade into the background.
Oh, for sure. If anything, we should do the opposite. Now is the time to come forward. Don't fade.
And that's what we're doing, right?
Right.
Yeah, you and I started in this industry because we were done being in the background.
Yes. Well, and I do think it's interesting because we were raised a certain way, and that's great. But I remember from as soon as I got married, had children, my life was on this trajectory of take care of others, take care of others, take care of others. Get a job, don't care what the job is, don't care what the career is, get a job, contribute to the family, boom, boom, boom. And there was never time to sit back and be like, you know what do I want? That identity was gone the minute I got married and had kids.
Yeah, your identity becomes your family.
Yeah. And never really having the time and opportunities to sit back and think about, well, what do I want? What do I want to do for a living? What do I enjoy doing? Where do I want to live? Any of that stuff. It was always just follow along, and go with the flow and take care of things and just be supportive. And that takes a toll.
Yeah. And it wasn't so much for me of, doing the marital thing, if you will, as women did in the 50s and 60s, where they just, took care of the family and that was their job. Right.
Yeah.
We were raised in the 2 income, 2 kids generation, basically. Yep. And sometimes one of those incomes had 2 jobs. We did what we needed to do. Right.
Yes. Yeah.
But in the midst of all those jobs that we were doing, we were also full-time mom, full-time house person, full-time financial advisor, full-time
Cook.
full-time tutor for our kids, full-time decorator, full-time personal shopper, like
Oh, yeah.
all of those hats, right?
Yeah.
And our head was never big enough to fill all those hats appropriately.
Right.
So we were half-assing it through life, basically, because we never did anything 100% because we were giving up 10% here, 10% there, 10% there.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the time. But that was the conditioning. That was how we were raised.
Mm-hmm.
And no fault of our parents. We were raised how they were raised.
Well, yeah. And we really thought that was normal.
Yeah.
It's not until you come out of that cycle that you're like, that didn't really go like I really wanted it to go. So now is the time where we're, I'll speak for me, but I think it's the same for you, where we're like, okay, I can actually now sit back and think about, what do I like? What do I want to do? Where do I want to spend my time? How do I want to show up for people? I mean, even, I almost cringe when my kids call me. And I know that sounds awful. So before everybody like gets all over me, it's because like I said, it's even up until they're in their 30s that they need help navigating life. And I won't say they never, but 99% of the time, if they call me, it's because they need something. They need emotional support. They need financial support. They need, anything, any just logistical support, what have you. And it gets exhausting. It gets to be exhausting.
It is. It is exhausting. I completely agree with you. I could not agree more.
I'm just like, at what age do you guys just call and say, "Hey, Mom, how are you doing?" Hey, Mom, I miss you. Hey, Mom. I don't know if that's ever gonna.
Will it? Wait, that's a really good point. Will it ever happen where they just call and say, "Hey, Mom, how are you?"
Well, what's funny? I had this conversation with my youngest son, and he used to be notorious for only calling. Long story. He has like some emotional up and down issues, but he would only call me when he was spiraling down. And I had to tell him a couple of weeks ago, I was like, I can't do this with you anymore. So I hear
boundaries.
you. Yeah. I finally was like, I can't. I see your number come across my phone and I'm like, oh, do I have it in me? And I have to decide if I really want to take his call or not. And he was shocked. And he was like, you know what? I can see that. And so he has called me twice now since then, just to say, hey, how's it going? Just want to check on you. What's new? So, I am making progress.
Is he banking brownie points for when he calls and needs something?
Probably. And you know what? I might have more empathy for him because he isn't, he isn't draining me dry.
Yeah.
So
in addition to all those hats that we wore, were any of those hats for you? Did any of them include your own self-care at all? Like, were you ever taught to take care of your body and not like indulge in your own guilty pleasures? Or was it just wear all the hats?
For me, it was wear all the hats. And part of that was my own doing. That, yes, part of it is how I was raised, but part of it is my own internal thought process that I have to do this. I have to take care of people. I have to make sure things are done. I have, part of that is just how I'm wired.
But are you wired that way because of cultural conditioning in our generation?
Yeah, part of it, a lot of it has to do with my dad, for sure. For sure. And
yes, with bright, wide eyes.
Yeah. So, I mean, we could do a whole podcast on family relationships, but yeah, a lot of it has to do with my dad.
Okay.
That I don't think will ever get out of how I process and think,
Yeah. It's tough. It really is. It's challenging to rewire your brain.
Yeah. Well, maybe I should be in therapy for 2 years. Maybe I need to join you.
Well, I took the back door into therapy,
Yeah.
if you will,
Yeah.
because I gave up so much of myself. I lost my entire identity
Yeah.
of who I was. So I had to get it back, and I came back the way I wanted it to be.
And that's exactly how it should be.
All right, so let's ask the audience here the next question.
Good.
And the question is, what messages did you get as a young woman about taking care of your body or indulging in guilty pleasures? So we want to hear from you, because I personally didn't have time for taking care of me. There was no time in the day. I needed that 25th hour, and damn it, no one ever gave it to me.
So true. And I think the taboo topic that this question kind of dives into is, did anyone teach you or have conversations with you or encourage you to understand the female side of life and your sexuality and your, having a relationship and what all of that stuff looks like? And that was zipped lipped in my household. You did not talk about it,
Yeah, it's life is fun. Life is like a box of chocolates.
Oh, yeah. I know. And so then when I got pregnant at 18 and my family was like, what the hell? I'm like,
It's what it is. Nobody taught me. Nobody taught me any different. So here we are.
What about you, though? How is it for you?
I was taught about all those things. I didn't listen. Penny's frozen. She's frozen with a drink in her hand like this.
Oh, there we go. We were frozen for a minute. Wow.
You were frozen too, my friend. You were stuck frozen with the drinking. All right. So for me, I was taught about all those things. I didn't listen because I was a teenager. I knew everything.
Ah.
And when I found out I didn't know everything, it turned back to your mama's always right. So, at the end of the day, mom was right. But I still went and got married at 21, had a baby at 22 plus.
Yeah.
And we started our life because that's how it was.
Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah.
It is interesting. It's hard to push through some of those things, but as we age, we get more stronger and more clear about who we are. And we can look back and think, oh, you know what? I'm not going to make that mistake with my grandkids because I'm definitely going to be a part of their influence, right? So yeah. I get to do a little bit of work about changing the trajectory of some of those things. So
yeah, I am super blessed and super fortunate that I'm getting a second chance at this motherhood thing.
Yeah.
At this new motherhood thing, I guess you could say, because at the age of 46, we had a baby.
Yeah.
So my babies were grown then. And my youngest was 19. So when I had this baby, so I get a second chance. I finally got to be a stay-at-home mom, which I never did.
Yeah.
The first time around. And I get to be present in her life. And I do get to help make decisions, but it's a partnership decision. It's not just me making all the decisions and then being ridiculed for making the wrong decision.
Yeah.
When nobody else stepped up to the plate and had any input at all.
Yeah. So, it is a great time, right? Like I'm happier now than I've ever been.
Yep, me too.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yep, so much more relaxed. And I don't know, is it the switch that happens when you turn 50? Like, or is it for us, is it just us busting out of that shell and quitting the career life and doing things on our own terms in our own businesses?
Yeah, it is an interesting question. I will tell you, I feel like COVID was the kicker for
Mm,
me
gotcha.
because it came at a time when I was in California visiting Dave, and it got to a point where I couldn't go back to Seattle. Like, you couldn't get on a plane, you couldn't, and I ended
Right.
up being in California for over a year with just him and I.
Wow.
And he went to work every day like he normally did. And I was in this little tiny condo, and I had all this time where you can't really go out, you can't really do anything. And that's when I started to step into the whole social media aspect, right? And figuring out, oh, I like this. This is fun. And I started to kind of figure out, I like these things. These make me feel good, right? And
Yeah.
I like the exposure to different people, and everything was online. And I think it was COVID for me. So that would have been what, 4 years ago or what have you. And I'm 56. 5. Yeah. See? So right around, 50, 51. Yeah. But I don't know that it would have happened if it wasn't for COVID for me.
That's interesting. It's hard to say what the path and trajectory would have been without COVID for a lot of us.
Yeah.
But I know that a lot of people either changed careers,
Yeah.
started working from home, quit their career,
Moved.
sold their house and
Yeah.
lived in a trailer, or sold everything and traveled the world.
Yeah.
I know it has changed a lot of perspectives for a lot of people because there was so much fear of the unknown, I think,
Yeah.
during COVID. So yeah, I'm kind of grateful for it because I got to homeschool.
Yeah.
There was an experience.
I bet.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Well,
But yeah.
yeah. Well, let's talk about the physical toll of stress
Mm.
and aging, because everything, comes together. But we all know that chronic stress, it increases the risk of
Frozen. Where is Penny?
Here we go.
There we go. Okay, so chronic stress.
Yep. Well, it increases the risk of inflammation and heart disease and autoimmune issues, which I suffer from. Those things start to surface more in our 50s because we've tamped it down for so long that when you start to come into your own and relax and take breath and, just really come to your own, the physical toll of all of that stress really does start to come out. So, I mean, pampering is things like, you can do yoga, go hiking, go swimming, sit in the sun, read a good book, whatever it is. It reduces the cortisol, right? And improves your physical health. And it's so important. And it's for your longevity of your health. It's not for vanity, right? Like, it's truly, truly important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't sit in the sun for vanity. I absolutely sit in the sun because I know it helps my mental health.
Sure.
And my mom, who is 80, she's probably going to watch this episode. So hi, Mom. She recently started walking in the mornings.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah. And I was so proud of her and happy to hear that she started doing that, because just getting outside, listening to the quiet, listening to the noises of the neighborhood, it takes your mind away from everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And just that reset, I think, first thing in the morning, like she does yoga like nobody's business. This woman does yoga. I think 5 days a week, 6 classes or something. She's like a powerhouse yoga woman. But I know she doesn't do it for vanity. she does it to calm the energy
Yeah.
and to quiet the noise.
Well, and you think about it, right? Like, I want to be someone who, as I age, I can continue to go on vacations, be in a house with stairs, all the things. I don't want to have knee surgery or hip surgery. Like, when I think of things like yoga, they're so important just simply for the ability to stretch and move your body in a way that keeps you healthy and also reduces, your stress. It's good for mental and for physical health. And I'm telling you, stress will kill you. We tell our kids all the time, you're going to get cancer if you keep worrying like this, if you keep indulging in all of these crazy theories and worries and all that kind of stuff, right? It will make you sick.
It
So,
will. It
mhm.
absolutely will take a physical toll on you, take a mental toll on you.
Yeah,
And when the mental toll takes hold, your physical absolutely suffers because
100%.
you don't want to do shit. You don't
Yep,
want to do anything. You don't want to talk to people. You don't want to go anywhere. You're staying in your lane
yep,
with the little blinders like horses have.
yeah,
And you can't see outside your little box. You are frozen there.
yeah,
And that frozenness, um, it's will totally debilitate your life
yeah.
completely.
Well, I think people have to be okay with doing what's right for your body. So people are always so like taken aback when I tell them that I take antidepressants and I've taken them
Me too.
for 10 years, probably.
Mhm.
It's been a long, long time. Um, Even my husband was like, I had no idea. I'm like, how could you not know? I take it every freaking morning. But but it's okay, right? To do the things that help you to
Yeah.
be as best of a person and healthy of a person as you can be. So there's
Yep.
nothing wrong with that.
No, there's no shame in the game. If you, my doctor explained it to me one time, like if you take antidepressants or anti-anxiety or whatever, which I take both
Mhm.
because I'm a roller coaster, so it levels me out, right? He explained it to me as though think about the fact that let's say you're diabetic. You take insulin or the
Mhm.
opposite, whatever, to regulate, right? And to keep your diabetes at a baseline.
Right.
Well, it's the same when it comes to your emotions and your mental health.
Yeah.
There is a baseline for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. We just
So
got to
there's,
make sure RFK Jr. doesn't send us off to an island somewhere because we take antidepressants.
oh my gosh, right? Yeah. No, so I know I've been on them for at least as long as you, if not longer. And I'm going to be on them for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm totally okay with that
Yep.
because as long as I got my sanity and my brain cells, I'm good.
That's right. Well, let's ask the audience a question, shall we?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So the question is, how does stress show up in your body these days?
Mm,
Titles, tell us honestly how it shows up in you physically in your body.
that is a good question.
Okay.
So we want to know in the comments, type away how stress shows up in your body. So tell me, Penny, how does stress show up for you?
Insomnia.
Oh, that is a fabulous one. Not a
Yeah.
fabulous one, but
Yeah.
very
I can
popular.
tell. Yep. Insomnia. I also have this really,
Now she's stuck again. Move around, Penny. Move around.
hello.
Hi. Okay, so insomnia, and you said you have this this is where you
Weird.
froze.
Yeah, I don't even know I'm doing it. Like I'm doing it right now, and I'm not even. I scratch at myself. Uh,
Oh,
I will crack my knuckles. I'll scratch. I play with my hair, whatever. Like it's just this weird, almost like a tick, but it's not, but it's stress, right? It's how it comes out in me. But a lot of times I don't even know I'm doing it. Or at night if I am asleep, I'll bite my lips.
Interesting.
Yeah. How about for
Well,
you?
I grind my teeth like crazy.
Oh, ugh.
So I wear mouth guard so my
Mhm.
teeth don't end up, down to the gums.
Yeah.
Um, Stress comes out for me as fatigue.
Mm.
Like if I am too overwhelmed and on the verge of a panic attack
Ooh.
because I'm so stressed out and doing 16 ways to Sunday things, um, right before the panic attack hits, I will just go completely inward and I lose every ounce of my energy because it is completely taken up by other things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's no fun.
it's vicious, but I do have, little anxious things like I pick my fingers
Mhm.
and I pick them till they bleed sometimes.
Yep.
Um yeah, my daughter, my older daughter, she was a hair or head picker. Like
Oh.
she has like virtually no hair from doing it
Oh.
for at least 2 decades that I'm aware of. So everybody's got their own way that physical stress comes out.
Sure.
And a lot of people have it that it comes out in spoons and ice cream cartons,
Yeah. Food, food, alcohol, I will
Mhm.
tell you, alcohol is a big one for me too. I can't, I really, and I'm at that point in life where I'm like, I don't know if I need this anymore. I really should just, it just doesn't need to be a part of my life anymore.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think the last glass of wine I had was when we went out to a fancy dinner.
Mhm.
But I don't drink at home anymore unless Jeff makes a really good margarita.
Ooh,
Um, I
and how do
don't
you say no to that?
usually drink at home anymore. It's
Gotcha.
just it's not important to me. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not either on, when we're taking medications and others. It's not productive, right?
That's risky shit right there.
That is. Yep.
Okay. So, now that we've talked about all of this, how it takes its toll on you, it's time to talk about reconnecting with your identity and your joy.
Yes.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
we've talked about the fact that many women lose themselves in the role of mother, worker, partner,
All the
15
things.
cat woman. Yes. So, what is it that pampering can really do for you? Well, it helps recenter, if you will, your identity and tapping back in to what brings you pleasure or confidence or creativity.
Mhm. Yeah. I agree with that.
It's kind of like celebrating the woman you've become and not just surviving the day,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
right? And that can happen at any age. It doesn't matter. It's
Yeah.
not just in your 50s. This is kind of like, is your 50s really the woman's midlife crisis time? I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I think for me, reconnecting with what really brings me happiness
Yeah.
was so desperately important for
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
to find things that bring me joy. Like, I want to be doing things, damn it, that make me happy.
Yes. And not
And
for anyone else other than me.
yeah, no,
Me?
absolutely. Absolutely. And we're not doing this podcast for each other. We're doing it for ourselves
Mhm.
with each other
Yeah.
because it brings us happiness.
It does. Well, I'm going to give you an example. I worked 90% of my adult life, my profession was in human resources. And
Oh, God help you.
Yeah. And one of the things that if anybody is listening to this and we've worked together, there's one thing you would know about me is I don't like people. So I
I'm dead over here.
so what it did for me is it made me really good at my job because I could separate the emotional side of
Mm,
HR and focus on the legal side and all this other stuff. So I had no issue firing people. I had no issue telling people that, you're not really meeting your job expectations and here's the things that we need. I had no issue showing up in an L&I claim, all this stuff, right? Because I'm not a people person. And what's so weird is that now that I've shifted and I've gotten out of that and I've retired and I spent this time from COVID in California and reconnecting with who I am,
mm-hmm.
I actually have tolerance and patience and enjoy being around people now. So it has changed, right? Like where I would never have done this podcast with you
Yeah.
10, 15 years ago. I'd be like, no way. Now
Nope.
I'm
I
like,
wouldn't either.
I'm a different person than I was then because my life is different now and I can open up and be more vulnerable and be happier. I'm happier because I know who I am better now than I did when I was, working all those years.
This is why you and I are besties. because because we have basically lived parallel lives.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you know, 15 years ago, hell no, I wouldn't have done this.
Yeah.
Like I owned my own e-commerce business,
Mhm.
okay? And I actually put a phone number on my business and people would call me. And I was afraid to answer the phone because I didn't want to talk to people. Like I let it go to voicemail and I'd call them back if I liked them.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I hated talking to people. And I still don't like picking up the phone and calling people I don't know.
Yeah, me either. I'd rather
But
text you or email you.
yeah, yeah. If I can hide behind an electronic, I'm all about it. So now we are in the service business helping people.
Yeah.
Now go figure.
It's so counter to who I have always been. It's
Mhm.
shocking.
Yeah. I was always very happy playing second fiddle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, me
I
too.
would let somebody else be the front person. Like I taught color guard for the marching band in high school for 10 years
Mhm.
out here in Boise because it brought me joy, right? I loved working with teens. I
Yeah.
loved watching them grow. Okay. And, but I didn't have to make all the band decisions. That was the band director's job.
Yeah.
So I was very happy in second position.
Mhm.
And even in parenting now, parenting our little one, I'm happy taking second position. Although I like to be included in decision making. So go figure. I got to figure out a balance there. But now we're in the service business helping women with their own confidence,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Which is huge. And I love it. I
Me too.
absolutely love it.
Me too. It's so interesting because I would have never thought all these years when I was raising my kids and pushing to be in this corporate environment and doing all of these things, right, that I would ever be a skincare consultant. Like, if you could have said I could be a million things, that wouldn't have even hit the list. Not
Mhm.
once.
Never. Not on my radar.
Yeah. So it is funny how those things come about. And
Mhm.
yet when I help women and they're like, oh, I get it. Right. I use these 3 products, or this is what works for me and my skin. I feel so much better in my makeup and all these other things. They feel better internally, right?
Mhm.
It makes them feel better about who they are and how
Yeah.
they're putting themselves out in the world. And yeah, it's crazy to me that that's where I've ended up.
Yeah, and I wonder how many of us there are that are like that. like that have done a full 180 from the direction that they thought they were going to be in the rest of their lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, so let's ask this last question.
Okay.
And the question is, nope, that's not the question. Oh, dang it. Nope, that's not it. Nope. Apparently, I don't have it.
Okay. Well, we can just ask it.
Leave it to me. All
No,
right.
it's totally cool. All right. Let's just ask it.
Okay, I'm going to ask it. Have you rediscovered a passion, a hobby, or a ritual that brings you joy lately? And we talked about this one already for us, I think.
Yeah.
And I can't wait till I get my garden back.
Well, it's so interesting, right? Because I was telling Liz prior to us starting is that I have never had a greenhouse before, and I have a greenhouse now, and I can't even begin to tell you how happy that freaking greenhouse makes me. And I've never really flowered or gardened or done any of that stuff before, but I'm like, oh, this is amazing.
Yep.
Got flowers growing and tomatoes growing and all these things, right? So
Yeah.
I've discovered gardening. I would say I've also discovered that I have a creative side. So I'm starting to make, the wreath, the lariat rope wreaths or whatever. And so that's been kind of fun. And side note, even 10 years ago, I wouldn't have gone and sat at a freaking craft fair to sell things because I wouldn't have wanted to talk to people. But here I am today, and I will go to a craft fair once a month to sell my wreaths. So those are kind of some of the things that I've rediscovered that bring me joy. What about for you?
I love being with my family. Like when I was married 15 years ago, 13 years ago, I guess, I didn't like to spend time with my family.
Sure.
Like I would have much rather been by myself. And now I can't wait for my family to get home from their day.
Yeah.
And see what we're going to come up with for the evening. And even if I don't go and participate in it, just spending the time is everything to me. It's everything.
I love that.
Yeah. So that's just one of the things. And it has helped my emotional balance so much.
Yeah.
So much. Because I've had so many physical issues.
You have.
For decades. Yeah. And just when I get my back fixed, I throw my knee out getting out of bed. And
can't get over that.
Just getting out of bed.
Yeah.
Crazy. But, I love to do things like crossword puzzles and those little diamond art things. And I'm not a creative, crafty person, but doing crossword puzzles keeps my mental acuity going. Yeah. And the diamond art just makes me feel good because I'm creating a finished product, I guess.
Yeah. So. It's interesting because it is one of those things. I know I took my mom on a train ride from Seattle to California a year and a half ago or something like that. And I brought a bunch of those books, right, where you can find hidden words or what's the difference between these two pictures, whatever, those kinds of things. And she was in love with them. She's like, she brought them home. She lives in a 55 or older, like park kind of thing. And people would come over and be like, can I use this book for a couple hours? And they would take it and they would go and do it and bring it back. And then somebody else would take one because, you're moving your brain, you're making your brain work. Right. And so it's the funniest things that come up. Like we did those as kids. Right. Yeah. And now that's what I do to keep myself occupied on a plane or whatever. So it's just so funny to me. So I totally get the crossword puzzle piece.
Yeah. Now that I work from my phone, I don't like to be on my phone.
Me too.
For doing anything. Like for even playing games. I don't like to be on my device. I would rather have pencil and paper, old school.
Yep.
And even reading books. I prefer hard books.
Look, me too.
And it's so good. Just it checks you out of where you are and puts you into whatever is happening in that book.
Well, and there is something tangible about physically touching it
Mm-hmm.
and sitting down and holding it and turning the pages and all that kind of stuff. It's so much more just tangible and for your mental acuity and everything else. It's better than being at a screen and going swipe, I can't do a book on a screen. I can sometimes do an audiobook, but I can't stay focused on an audiobook. So I'm with you. Hardcover books or physical books, that's where they're at.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what do you think about today's show? I had a lot of fun today talking about all of these things. We want to hear from you all what you thought about the show today. Leave your comments, questions, suggestions, you name it, because we're launching into this podcast world and we want to hear from you. We want to hear what kind of topics you want.
Yeah.
And all the things. So give us topic ideas. Give us, if you know of somebody you would love to have as a special guest, or you want to be a guest on our program,
we want to hear from you.
We definitely want to hear from you.
Yes, we do.
Leave a comment, whatever it is on YouTube or however you want to get a hold of us, you do it. And we will be back. Are we going to be back next week, or are you on vacation?
I'm going to say I'm going to be on vacation, and this is why. Because my son and his wife are going to be here, and they're going to be working. And Dave will be here, and he'll be working. Plus, I'm going to have all the grandkids here who are going to have tablets, and I don't think I have the bandwidth to actually do a podcast.
That's fair. That's very fair. So we will be back
week after.
And on the 9th, nope. I'm traveling that. Oh, no, I'll be back on the 9th because I'm not traveling till that night.
Okay.
So we'll be back on the 9th with a whole new topic, and we hope to see you.
That's right. And we thank you guys so much for joining. We had a great time. I hope you did too.
Yep. Bye.